Hi everybody, I hope you can see me okay and the screen. So this is the review, sort of mid-quarter review of units 2, 6, and 7. So I'm just going to click through the slides and you can listen to me and look at the slide and think about what you're watching and listening to. And you can fill in the blanks with a pencil. You can always stall this thing or pause it. Or you can just answer aloud. It's totally up to you on how you handle this review. So just watch it and hopefully you can learn something about these 3 units, which will help to prepare you for the midterm. We're going to talk about the midterm later. So, all right. So imagine that this is an important quiz, by the way. And of course, looking at this, you can see that this is success. I hope you have the right book by now. Yeah. And if you don't have the book, try to get it. Some of you are having trouble getting the book. Just go back to my lessons, and I do these lessons sort of carrying you through the book, going page by page, so you can actually see what's in the book by watching the lessons. See the pages. All right, let's look at the second slide. All right, let's talk about this for a second. So what do you see? I really like this picture. It's a blast from the past. It's a picture of 2 guys probably back in the early 1900s. This picture was probably taken. Okay, so what do you see? What are they wearing? What do you see? They're wearing a lot of interesting clothing, and some of the patterns are pretty interesting, aren't they? So what kind of patterns do you see here? What about the materials? What about the clothes themselves? It looks like it's definitely wintertime and it's a very cold place, probably somewhere, where do you think? Maybe up in North New York or some northern city in the wintertime, because they're dressed very warmly. Anyway, so think about that. What are they wearing? What is the material? What are the patterns? What are the clothes? Okay, so this is, I hope you can make that out. It's not a snake. It's something that you wrap around your neck to help keep you warm. What is that called? Okay, do you remember? All right. What about the plural? What's the plural of this? Okay, so look in your book. I don't want to give you the answer. Look in your book. Just think about what you're looking at. Okay, you can look. You can do your own research here. But like I said, it goes around a person's neck. Sometimes it's made of a very nice material. All right. What are they? So try to make a sentence. They are. Okay. What would the other question be if you could only see one of these? You wouldn't ask, what are they? You'd ask, what is it? Right? What are they? What is it? What's the proper name for that too? You know, you have, I may have a picture of another type of tie. I said it. I think you know what these are because the Koreans or the Korean language has adopted these names. But more specifically, what is it? Or what are they? Okay? This is similar to what you saw before, but a different style. So there's a different name for this. You may be less familiar with this, but what is it? If there were more than one, what are they? Okay, let's look at this pattern now. This is a pattern that, when described, is it's a funny sounding word. It's like music from Poland. Okay, polka, 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 or polka, and then, what about the colors? What about the colors? So when you describe something that has this pattern and these colors, how do you put those words together? It's in the book, all of this information. Okay, let's talk about the color and the pattern, if there is one. There's really no pattern. So how is that done? How do you describe a single color of a shirt, of a jacket, of pants, okay, of shoes? It's in the book. All right, now you're going to be making complete sentences here. Here's an example, and this, of course, is all Unit 2. Answer with a complete sentence. So, the question is, what is he wearing? All right, what would be the best way to describe what he is wearing? Now, if you're talking about the belt, you could just focus on the belt. And so, he is wearing a brown leather belt. And actually, I didn't correct this. There should be no comma. Okay, it's kind of tricky, but there should be no comma. But if you put a comma in there, you'd probably get away with it. No one would really care. But because they are independent, it's brown, it's leather. Okay, so it's brown leather belt, no comma. But you can also talk about the color, the pants that he's wearing, maybe the shirt. Okay, let's see if we can just fix that. Oh no, it doesn't. Anyway, that's all right. An oversight there. Right. So again, complete sentences. All right, so now I want you to not only say what it is, like sweater, slacks, pants, or shoes. Give more information. What about the pattern, all right, and the colors? So what is he wearing? I imagine that that's a man wearing that tie, necktie. So how would you describe like the patterns, or the pattern and the colors? Okay, now I'm focusing on this part here right now. So, what is she wearing? How would you answer that in a complete sentence? You know, you could also talk about the shirt or the blouse, the shoes, maybe the, what would you call this, like an accessory? Okay, the more that you say and say correctly, the better off you are, the better score you get if you're being tested. All right, now we're kind of focusing now on the pattern here. What pattern is that? Do you remember that pattern? Okay, it's pretty popular. In Korea, you'll see people wearing it. You'll see people wearing it all over the world. Oftentimes in the US, it's a very popular pattern. A lumberjack, when he puts on a heavy shirt, oftentimes, for one reason or another, that shirt will have this pattern. So what about the pattern? What about the details of the shirt, maybe? We don't know what the material is. I imagine that it's either wool or cotton. So how do you arrange those words in order to describe what he is wearing? What about this pattern? You remember this one? What is she wearing? What's the pattern? What is it that she's actually wearing here? Okay. It's in the book too. All of this stuff's in the book. All of this information. Okay, this was a good picture. So there are actually different colors here. These pants or slacks are the same, but the shoes are a little bit different. What about the colors? What about the materials? You know, you can include that in your answer. Okay, so what about this one? Is this a brown wool jacket? How would you answer that? Is it wool? Is it made of wool? Okay, obviously it's not. So you'd start with no, it isn't. And then you make the correction. How would you do that? All right, so in this picture, this girl is wearing a, what do you call that? Is it a dress? It doesn't look like a dress to me. It's I'll tell you, of course, it's a skirt. But what about the length of the skirt and the pattern? We don't know what it's made of. Okay? So, but let's assume that it's made of cotton. Let's assume that. We don't know. I don't know what it's made of. It could be made of nylon. It could be made of some other material, but I think it's cotton. I'm just assuming that. So how would you answer that one? She is wearing, include the word cotton. Okay, so we're going to take a short break and we'll get back to the second half of this review.